soul. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. Oh, my soul. Sing with me. Sing
Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to Beacon Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Kathy Bataille. I'm your worship associate today, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a rather short, older, very pale-skinned woman with long curly white hair wearing a teal and black outfit today. I want to give a special welcome to those joining us virtually. We're gathered on the continued and ancestral lands of the Lenni Lenape. Please share your name in the chat, the lands you join us from, and the people whose lands it is. Today, we wish a Happy New Year to all who observe Rosh Hashanah. Our service today is designed a little bit differently, in part so that those heading to the march to end fossil fuels can catch the train in time. So you may notice that our elements are moved around a little bit. We hope if you're not marching, you can join us for some extra time to connect at Beacon Cafe, which at noon will be downstairs. Today we welcome William Michaels as our vocalist. William recently appeared in Parade on Broadway and has also performed on Broadway in Bright Star, South Pacific, and Beauty and the Beast. He has also sung with orchestras, including the San Francisco, San Diego, and Utah symphonies, the New York Pops, and the Philly Pops. Thank you all for being here today. Your presence and your light matter. Whether you come with a resounding energy or in need of rekindling, we value who you are. We welcome here a diversity of experiences, spiritualities, identities, and together we seek beloved community. So welcome, beloved. Welcome to Beacon.
Please rise if you're willing and able. We're going to sing hymn 1011, 1011. Return again. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul.
Good morning, beloved. I'm Reverend Robin. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a member of your lead ministry team here at our Beacon. I am a short-ish white woman with shoulder-length brown hair. I'm midlife, and I am wearing a blue and green stole that I'm going to march in. So you may see that I'm going to preach and run, and my apologies for that. I'm trying to get to New York City in time for the march to end fossil fuels. But first, let us kindle the light of our faith, the chalice. Hope, beloved, already began her day, perhaps at the kitchen table over toast and sliced orange. As beloved remembered the taste of sunrise, looked into one another's eyes, courage captured in the hands connecting silently, while the children giggle unaware of the promises their parents make. Hope is deep, indeed, in the sanctuaries, temples, mosques, synagogues, on the prayer mat, the tallis brushing across the shoulder, the candles ablaze, our voices rise in the resonance of resistance and resilience. Hope is enduring. They are knitting her into form once more. The floors of the factory are animated with the rivets of her persistence. as the mothers of the movement answer the call, some sitting down, some rising, some wheeling, all moving in the motion of her genesis. Hope was there, beloved, at your birth, when you were named into being and held toward the eastern sky. Remember, hope, like flame, rises up this day once more.
Excuse me. Our reading today is an excerpt from And There Was Light by Jacques Lucéron, or Lucéron, I'm not sure. I went blind at the age of 8. It was a great surprise to find myself blind, and being blind was not at all as I imagined it. Nor was it as the people around me seemed to think it. They told me that to be blind was to not see. Yet, how was I to believe them when I saw? Not at once, I admit. Not in the days immediately after the operation, for at that time I still wanted to use my eyes. I followed their usual path. I looked in the direction where I was in the habit of seeing before the accident, and there was anguish, a lack, something like a void, which filled me with what grown-ups call despair. Finally, one day, and it was not long in coming, I realized that I was looking in the wrong way. This was much more than a simple discovery, it was a revelation. I can still see myself in the Champ de Mars, where my father had taken me for a walk a few days after the accident. Of course, I knew the garden well, its ponds, its railings, its iron chairs. I even knew some of the trees in person, and naturally, I wanted to see them again. But I couldn't. I threw myself forward into the substance, which was space, but which I did not recognize because it no longer held anything familiar to me. At this point, some instinct, I want to say some hand, laid on me, made me change course. I began to look more closely, not at things, but at a world closer to myself, looking from an inner place to one further within, instead of clinging to the movement of sight toward the world outside. Immediately, the substance of the universe drew together, redefined, and peopled itself anew. I was aware of feeling a radiance emanating from a place I knew nothing about, a place which might as well have been outside me as within, but radiance was there. Or, to put it more precisely, light. It was a fact, light was there. Sighted people always talk about the night of blindness, and that seems to them quite natural. But there is no such night, for at every waking hour, and even in my dreams, I live in a stream of light.
So in the middle of our first service, we sent just about 20 folks out to join the March to End Fossil Fuels. We offered them a blessing, and you'll see that our altar here is adorned with signs made by our children, and I'm going to take the pink one with me, and hopefully you'll help me remember. If I run out of the sanctuary at the conclusion of this sermon, somebody shout, "Grab the sign," okay? Should we practice? All right, we're ready. There's no warm-up. That's the warm-up. The sermon's at the beginning this time, beloved. Once upon a time, hope was essential like water and air and light itself. It was impossible to imagine life without hope, hope for change, hope as a many-feathered bird, hope as trumpet and voice, Louis and Ella late into the night floating above concrete in Harlem. Hope in the possibility that the crush of indulgence and abuse could be transformed 95 points nailed to a door. Hope like a stone hewn out of a mountain of despair by Martin. Hope in the birth of the next generation. Hope like an unfettered human in the story long ago, that human asking in that garden of dullness, "What is freedom? Dare I take a bite of the apple?" Audacity, ferocity, tenacity of hope. But today, hope is harder to find. Crouched under the bleachers from ridicule and despair, the certainty of pessimism, the pervasiveness of the victor, hope is barely a whisper in most corners of this country. Hope is out of style, right? It's naive. It's outdated. It's antiquated. Jacques Luciron became blind at the age of 8 from an accident in his classroom, an ordinary fall. As a teenager, he began to learn about the rise of Hitler, and he decided to study German in order to understand the content of the radio broadcasts and to learn how to fight fascism. When Hitler invaded France, he formed a resistance group and began publishing an underground paper. He was only 17 years old, and he became the voice of the resistance in France. According to the author Maria Popova, 2 years later, he was betrayed by a member of the group and arrested by the Gestapo. He was sent to a prison where he spent 6 months in a cell 4 feet long by 3 feet wide. It was there, he would later write, that he said he began to shift his consciousness, saying that after a while he was able to see that he no longer lived in a prison cell, but rather a church underground, a movement for liberation. He wrote, quote, "The mechanism of hope in our hearts must have 1,000 springs, almost all of them unknown to us. The mechanism for hope must have 1,000 springs." Of course, hope is not a fairy tale of once upon a time. And it's not accidental or come by easily, as Luciron details in his writing. Hope takes muscle. It takes practice. It takes ritual and determination. It is built by learning to see anew, away from what everyone said was impossible or how they said it should be. When what they told you and when all that you ruled out as impossible falls away, it is then, Luciron says, that the light streams in. Last Sunday evening, I went to Central Presbyterian Church here in Summit to help dedicate a memorial garden for all of those who had died of COVID-19. I was there in my new role as president of the Summit Interfaith Council. They explained about the garden, how people in those early days, as you'll recall, we needed somewhere to go, and there wasn't anywhere to go. Pastor Don, one of the pastors at Central Presbyterian, said they started noticing this bench that they had outside the church that people started just sitting down and treating as a sacred space, though it hadn't been designated so. Some with tears coming down their face in those early days, others mumbling prayers, some just sitting quietly looking at the sky. At the conclusion of the dedication, I used a responsive reading from 2 Jewish authors, actually. It's entitled "We Remember Them." It's by Sylvan Commons and Rabbi Jack Reimer. We read it often at celebrations of life, memorial services at the conclusion of them. You may recognize it, and if you do, I invite you to join with me. "In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we. After I concluded that reading, the architect of the garden explained that they had intentionally planted pollinators there in order to seed new life. She said the idea was that in the wake of grief and in the presence of memory, hope and life were yet around us. I wondered then about those thousands of springs of hope. Butterflies that will come to that garden and bumblebees, reminding us that hope is not abstract but very real. Real like muscles, so real it can endure a prison cell and transform it into an underground church. Some of us are marching to end fossil fuels in just a little bit. In the words of the organizers, we all want fresh air to breathe, good jobs for our families, a planet where our lands and oceans thrive. But the more oil, gas, and coal we burn, the more toxic air we breathe, the more heat waves, fires, and floods we face, all while wealthy fossil fuel CEOs rake in record profits from dirty practices that pollute our communities. President Biden has the power to stop them by putting an end to the expansion of fossil fuels, ensuring that we all have clean air and clean water and a just and safe future, that we have better health and safety for our communities. We deserve a world free from fossil fuels, don't we? This is our chance. And this is President Biden's opportunity to break free before he speaks to the United Nations, to make good on the promises that he ran on. And tomorrow, a few of us will participate in a nonviolent direct action that may result in our arrest as we head to Wall Street. As you may know, it's not my first time in a nonviolent direct action or being in jail for a little bit. But I haven't done anything in a while. I swear, officer. And so I'm a little rusty. And I was looking through some of my old materials, and I pulled out the armbands we used to wear in our actions, and I found a Sharpie, a permanent black marker amidst all of my materials. And it's then, you know how memories can pour in for you all of a sudden? It's then that I remembered my very first action in North Carolina. It was deep in the summer, and it was very, very, very hot. And just before we began the action, they asked all of us to take out a permanent marker and to write on our arm the number of the attorney we would call when we got a chance to make our call. And I remember being so nervous because it was hot and I was sweating. I was afraid that the numbers were going to run, and I would get to that moment and they would hand me the phone and I would be just not able to decipher it. But of course, it's a Sharpie. They don't run. It's kind of the definition of a Sharpie, in fact. And sure enough, when I called, Gita, my attorney, was ready and waiting. In that small jail cell with the metal toilet in front of God and everybody, shivering from the air conditioning and unnerved by the buzz of the lights, it felt like a miracle when I was handed that greasy phone and I punched in her numbers and a voice answered, explained what to do next, and reassured me that I was not the sum of that small room or all of my fears at that moment. To hope is not a fairy tale. It is not a commodity or some other worldly gift. It is human, and it is still here in you. And it has been all along. 1,000 springs of hope, the writer promises from the jail cell. A lawyer penned on an arm, perhaps the name of a child whose future your actions are ensuring. 1,000 springs of hope. Maybe a memory of when the dragonflies filled the docks at the lakes before the pesticides came. The memory of our own grief woven into hope, sitting on a bench with mourning and yet bearing witness with each bumblebee winging toward dawn, new life. Who is written upon your arm, beloved? Who or what is written as 1,000 springs of hope to march one more time, to plant the pollinator, to shut the unjust systems down, to mount the solar panels, to shout the words of truth like the prophets of old, and to believe in these high holy days, in this Rosh Hashanah, that a good year, a new year, is possible. Indeed, beloved, when we march and refuse to be lied to, we remember them. When we see past party affiliation and demand a higher cause, we remember them. When we say no to the fossil fuel industry that is killing our future, and yes to the future that still can be, when we rise to the day in the smallest of ways to remember the bumblebee and the butterfly, even in our grief, when we plant the pollinator or choose to reduce our waste, when our children call us to do better, and we do, when we dare to move from prison cells of our certitude into the underground of resistance and resilience, when we hope, when we rise one more time, when we live for a future not our own, yes, beloved. Amen. And may it be so. Yes. Amen.
Please rise if you're willing and able, both. We're going to sing hymn 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Thank you. My name is Tuli, my pronouns are she, her, and today I'm wearing a blue kurta, which is what we call it in India, and I have graying hair. Wait, that's true, I do have graying hair. At the first service, long-time Beacon member Bev Aubrey spoke powerfully about how this community had supported her through her husband's struggle with Alzheimer's and his eventual passing, and how now she's working hard with a group of other people on raising support for our person who we're sponsoring from Afghanistan, Professor Mariam Ahmadi. There's a fundraiser this coming Saturday to raise funds to support all her legal fees. Basically, Bev was talking about how her suffering was nothing compared to what Professor Ahmadi has gone through, having to leave her family in Kabul and come here with no contact, and really sort of re-establish her life. And Bev was able to, thanks to many of your generous offerings as well, fund her, stay here. She stayed with Bev, and to sort of bridge the gap between moving from a Muslim country into the United States. I know that Bev's work was not done by her alone. I know that you all as a community helped her. I know that Bev Aubrey today is not marching alone. As you heard Robin say, she has 19 other people with her, and all of you, even though you're not actually there, right? Yes. So this is what we do as a community, and for the good works and ministries of this congregation, your gifts and offering will now be gratefully received.
Fields of children running wild in the sun. Like a forest is your child, growing wild in the sun. Gather your children to your side in the sun. Tell them all they love will die. Tell them why in the sun. Tell them it's not too late. Cultivate one by one. Tell them to harvest and rejoice in the sun. Fields of children running wild in the sun. Like a forest is your child, growing wild in the sun. Tell them it's not too late. Cultivate one by one. Tell them to harvest and rejoice the sun.
Now try? Ooh, better. Yes, thank you. Okay, well, good morning again. My name is Kathy Menendez. I pronounce her she, her, hers. And I'm a member of the chaplain team here at Beacon. Even though I don't have my burgundy stole on today, I apologize. As chaplains, we extend the spiritual care of our community. We define spiritual care as intentional compassion through presence and listening. We also facilitate our weekly ritual of community candle lighting, and together we light candles of joy, sorrow, and gratitude. This morning, we light a candle of healing for Colleen Mannion, who had surgery this week, and we wish her a speedy recovery. A candle of sorrow for all the lives lost and the people still missing in Libya after the disastrous floods this week. A candle of hope and solidarity with the Beacon members who will join thousands of others marching for climate justice in New York City this afternoon. And a thanks to Kathleen Grant for organizing our group. Now I have two more, and you'll have to wait a second while I get it on my phone here, because it just, these are up to the minute candles. We celebrate with our partners in July and the Unitarians across Northeast India who celebrate the founding of Unitarianism in Northeast India tomorrow by Bhajan Kishore Singh, marking 136 years of Unitarianism in Northeast India. We kindle a light and wish Shana Toya for all observing Rosh Hashanah. Should I say that again? Shana Tova for all those celebrating Rosh Hashanah. It was last minute, okay. We lift up the family of Jasnavi Kadula, who continues to feel the ripples of loss and injustice with the recently released recordings. And for this, and for so much more, we invite you now to come forward to light a candle here in the sanctuary, at home, or wherever you may be.
Thank you, Vicky. For our meditation this morning, you are invited to get into a comfortable seated position, to either gently close your eyes or gaze at a spot about 2 or 3 feet in front of you. You want to be in a position that you can hold for about 5 or 6 minutes. Most people prefer their feet flat on the ground so that they can feel connected to the earth and their backs supported by the seat they are sitting on. So as you settle into this meditation, I invite you to gently scan first your external self. So as you inhale up from the toes, past the lower legs, the knees, the thighs, the abdominal region, the chest, the neck, the face and the head. And on the exhale, you reverse the journey. So inhale up from the feet, exhale down from the head. This signals to the body that you are preparing for a time of quiet. Again, inhaling and exhaling, just settling in slowly. If your breath is challenged today or compromised in some way, you might choose to focus on a touch point, either your palms, or feel the chair under your thighs against your back, or the bottom of your feet, whatever feels comfortable. And now you are invited to scan the interior climate that you might be experiencing. Often our interior weather systems reflect what is happening in the outer climate. In stormy weather, we might feel a storm brewing within ourselves. When it is calm or peaceful, we might feel a similar sense of equanimity. So just scanning without judgment, without analysis, what is happening in our internal selves. Into this spaciousness, this space of quiet and meditation that we have created, I invite you to bring to mind a person who you carry with you. They might be past, or they might always be here. A person whose name you might perhaps write in Sharpie marker on your forearm. Not literally, but metaphorically. These people are with you. Who are these ancestors whose cloak is about your shoulders? And ancestors don't always have to have passed in physical body. They might still be here. They are with you. They are holding you. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as they live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. As you stay seated in the sacred hour, I invite you to call to mind an image of someone 7 generations hence, whose name you do not know. For both the ancestors and these people whom you do not know, whose face you do not know, but you stay committed to carrying the flame, to lighting the way. We are held both by those who have gone before and those who are yet to come. In this container created by those who have gone before and those unnamed, unknown, who will surely be there 7 generations hence, we stay open to commitment to right wrongs, to fight for justice, and to ever move forward. We stay connected to the ground, we stay connected to the earth, our only home. we stay connected to the seventh Unitarian Universalist principle, the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are but a part, and therefore we march, perhaps not in person, but definitely in spirit. With all this held in our mind and heart, you are invited to take a deep breath in, to gently open your eyes if they were closed, to return once again to the sacred space, to the sacred hour, and rise as you are able to sing hymn number 1064 in the Teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home. Thank you, William. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Kathy. You are invited to reach out across the aisles and grab a hand or an elbow or whatever you prefer for our benediction. Nice tableau up there. And now, in our comings and goings, may the light of love shine down upon us, out from within us, be gracious unto us, and grant us peace, fortitude, and energy. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen. Blessed be.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know within and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah.